I gotta tell you, sitting here like this, eating dinner, staring out this big old windshield, you all the way over there, it's killing my vibes.
How do we get from this to this? There is so much more room.
Right?
All right, watch along. We'll show you how it's done. Welcome back everybody to the channel. Today we are super excited. We finally got our driver's side swivel in. Because of such great things we had heard online and read, we opted for the Scopema swivels. We picked these up from the swivel shop. They were a long wait, but definitely worth it. We already have the passenger side swivel in. It was a pretty straightforward install. Just a few bolts, few slight modifications. So the driver's side install is not difficult, at least I don't believe so. So some of the first things you're gonna wanna do, you're gonna remove this plastic here, get this out of the way, clear anything out that's gonna be in your way for this project. Let's get started. I'll show you what you need to do. You're gonna wanna gain access to these bolts here. There's two on the front of the seat, two on the rear of the seat rails. You're gonna need a ratchet and a T40 Torx bit. Just like that, go ahead, remove all four of those. Next thing you're gonna wanna do, grab yourself a 9/32 socket and nut driver and go ahead and remove this wiring clip or connector for the airbag sensor. Now, very carefully, go ahead and remove the seat. Make sure you've got a good hold on it. You can either move it to the back of the van, off to the side. I'm gonna move it outside of the van so it's completely out of my way. By doing this, it is completely out of your way. That way you can access the battery compartment and all the things that you've got to do in this area. You're gonna wanna grab yourself a trim removal tool. Go ahead and pop these connectors here, these little pins. This will get this section of carpet out of your way. Eight millimeter should do it for you. Undo this clip here. This thing here, this should pull out. The bracket that's held onto this seat tower is held on by 3 bolts. You can see 2 here. The third is buried down underneath these wires. So in order to get to this safely, there is probably other ways, but you should really remove this battery cover, undo your battery connections, remove the battery, then you've got full access. Okay, so you don't really have to undo any of the wiring other than the battery. Underneath here, you're gonna find this little cover. You're gonna pop this cover off. It's gonna expose all 3, that's buried behind that wire, all 3 of the bolts to get access to remove that e-brake. Cover for the e-brake is all off. You're gonna wanna remove this connector right here. That's out of your way. Feed this back through. That's the sensing wire for the e-brake. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Now you can safely remove these bolts. I'll show you how that's done. Grab yourself a 13 millimeter socket and ratchet and a 13 millimeter wrench. One down, 2 to go. Okay, so you didn't need the wrench, just the socket. What I thought was a nut on the back side here is actually a welded on nut. I'll show you that in a bit. Undo the wiring underneath here to access or free up that wire. There you go, there's sensor wire. E-brake is now out of the way. So after you've removed the e-brake handle lever assembly, there is this lower steel bracket that will need to be modified, that when you put the lowering bracket on here, it has access to sit a little bit lower. So go ahead, let me zip all these off. There's 4 of those bolts there. We'll get those out of the way. To avoid undoing the e-brake cable here, you shouldn't really need to, but to get all of this out and then have this metal bracket able to be modified outside of the van, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a little slot here as well. That way it'll allow the cable to slide through. All right, go ahead and give everything a nice wipe down while you've got access to it. Get this all prepped up. Okay, so with the lower bracket off, which you don't actually need to keep that, but that'll allow the plastics housing to remain around this bracket. So I'll show you that a little bit and how we finish that out when we're done. But for now, we've got these bolts exposed. On to the next step. All right, so here's what we have in front of us. We've got the e-brake handle assembly with all the bracketry. There is this welded on nut here on the back side of this, and then these pressed in bolts. Those are gonna have to remove, because what effectively is happening is these will mount in these lower holes, which you won't be able to access because they won't go through this seat pedestal anymore. This will bolt here with new hardware. These 3 upper existing bolts or bolt holes is what will align with the old bolt holes in the side. We'll need to get these out, and by getting those out, you can either do a little bit of cutting or hammering. Let's see what we can do. Some quick work with an air hammer. All right, these are all out. Now I can show you what I was talking about with bolting it to the new bracket. Okay, so now that I've kind of got it all sitting in place, what's going on, and it might be hard to see, but this e-brake here, right here, as you push it down, it's going to want to go into this metal bracket. I'm going to keep this lower black metal bracket so that I can keep the plastic housing. What I have to do is create a little bit of access, or relief. I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this out. I'm just kind of marking it as to where this silver section here sits. When you have it in front of you, it makes a bit more sense. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. All right. Before and after. See, just giving it a little bit clearance so that bracket can sit down through this body. We're gonna go ahead and fasten this bracket back on. Factory bolts that hold this lower housing on. All right, everything is lined up. Now we're just dropping the bolts in from the inside through these 3 holes. Gonna button those up. All right, go ahead and feed this wire back through the chassis of the seat here, or the seat pedestal. Then we're gonna connect that back up. Okay, e-brake whole assembly is in. Now is a good time. Set your seat swivel on here and go ahead and swivel it. Make sure that you have enough clearance. It is awfully close to this e-brake handle here. Well, let me get that back in frame. It's awfully close to this e-brake handle here. So what you should really do, just to make sure you don't have any issues, go ahead and put your bolt in. With it aligned to these, go ahead and swivel this and make sure you're clearing. It does, it's close. With alignment checked, everything clearance-wise, everything's good. Now is time, put the battery tray, the battery itself, connect all your wires back up, and let's get installing this swivel. All right, now that you've got everything sitting where it needs to be, go ahead and make sure all 4 of your bolts line up. There has been instances where some people have said that they don't line up or they don't fit. I have not had the case on this seat nor the passenger seat, but just to double check, go ahead and set them all in loose. Make sure you route your airbag cable to the bottom, for the bottom of the seat, back up through the center hole here. Check your action of it, make sure you're not hitting anything. Go ahead and zip these down and you're almost there. All right, we're all mounted up, sitting in here, everything clears. Now we're gonna go ahead and set the seat on here. I can't do it with one hand, so give me a sec. Go ahead and connect your airbag sensor back up to your seat. After you got those 4 bolts on the seat done, we got a swivel seat. You do need to do a bit of trimming on this plastic if you go ahead and use that. I'm gonna finish this off with probably some fabric or something that, or maybe that stretch carpet to match the rest of the van. But right up here in the front, you do have to do a bit of trimming on the plastic where it does sit down so much deeper. There is clearance for everything. So one last thing you do is where this e-brake cable comes through the bottom of the chassis here is real close to this drive shaft. You want to make sure that you've got clearance. I know there's not much, but it should be just enough just to be safe.
And like that, we have some swivels.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Me too. It's been a long time waiting, huh?
We ordered them from the swivel shop. Great company to deal with. We did expect a bit of delay getting them. It took about 2 months. Well worth the wait.
Yeah, shout out to Brad.
Brad at the swivel shop.
Yeah.
Great guy, great guy. He kept me posted on everything when things were delayed or when we were getting them. When it was just a great experience.
I'm really, really excited about what this means for opening up our space and getting some much needed area to just relax and, you know, enjoy eating dinner together, but not on opposite sides of the van. And
yeah, when we started the process of building this van, we knew we did not want a bulkhead behind the seats.
No.
It closes things off, and having these swivel seats spin around, and it just gives you so much more access to everything, and it makes it feel bigger. It really does.
Yeah, I'm really excited about how, you know, we'll be able to, after a long day of adventuring, sit back, relax. It gives us a little space to kind of work and enjoy. And man, you did a great job getting them in. And
thanks.
It really didn't take you that long, which I was no help in.
So I really didn't know what to think. We've watched a few videos, read a few things online. Mm-hmm. I understand everybody has different skill levels and abilities, but I didn't show you much of the passenger seat install. It was easy. 15 minutes, maybe tops. Other than, you know, you're taking the seat off, setting it in the back of the van, or like I did with the driver's side, where I set it outside the van. You get access to the jack underneath. A few bolts, remove that. You've got to do some modification on the child tether thing there on the back. Cut that off. It's 4 bolts getting the seat off, 8 bolts putting it back together. That's simple. The reason I wanted to do this video and mainly focus on the driver's seat was because the emergency brake handle is on these Transits. This is a 2018 Transit. It can be a daunting task or scares some people away from wanting to do the swivel, but it comes with the bracket that you need, a little bit of know-how, just take your time, check fitment of everything, and it's pretty straightforward. This side took me an hour and a half, basically one-handed while trying to hold the camera and do all of this. So not bad. I mean, less than 2 hours for both seats. It's a game changer.
It really is. Yeah, I think my word of advice and word of caution is, while the old internet is a great tool for information, be careful with some of the things that you see out there, because we watched lots of different videos where there were some unnecessary modifications made, and things were cut that maybe didn't need to be, and we just wanted to make sure that we didn't make any unnecessary modifications to the van that would maybe do damage to the way the van itself functions. So just be careful, do your homework.
Just take it step by step, like I was doing in the video. You know, set something on, check your clearance, make sure that you do or do not need to cut something. Don't just assume that you know, the other video that you watched online or something like that, where, you know, some other person cut the seat posts off, you know, the alignment pins. I've seen that as a common thing. We don't have any clearance issues with that. So just don't get ahead of yourself and cut things or remove things or modify things when you don't need to do that.
Yeah. First of all, it's unnecessary work, which can
Yeah.
add to your frustration level
Yeah,
and make the
I mean-
task take longer, but also it could do some damage to the van itself. So be cautious, be careful, but more than anything, don't be intimidated. Jump in. If you want swivel seats and you're kind of unsure, this man did a really great job,
Yep.
so feel free to reach out.
Yeah, ask us some questions in the comments if you have questions.
Yeah.
Whether it's something I did or didn't do on this install, I can help you out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's time for us to plan another adventure, get these seats out, check them out, enjoy some views, and really just take it all in.
Absolutely. All right, thank you guys for watching. Like Mandy said, if there's anything that you're unsure of, ask a question below. I will get back with you immediately. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.